Hey, I'm live. Um, y'all are gonna see this. Y'all are gonna be like, "Wow, Carrie Grant." Anyway, I am compelled to share some information with you before like another minute passes. There have been a handful of people that I know recently that have shared, and I'm so thankful and grateful that this handful of people feel comfortable and enough to be vulnerable with me present, with more people present, whatever. I think that is big. It's brave for people to share how they're really feeling and thinking. So that's a first start. Anyway, I feel compelled to share with you what I've learned in my own exploration of my personal mental health, and also what I've learned just through studying psychology. A lot of the stuff that I've learned through studying psychology is actually not really from the classes. It's just been my own interest of like having a subscription to Psychology Today and reading an article and then wanting to learn more about what's in that article and looking at the references, all of the citations, and where I can learn more information. Anyway, for those who know me, know that I can be a little sensitive sometimes. I can be emotional. I can be tender, empathetic. I like to think now, the battle that I've gone through, I understand that my empathy has been a strength for me and my passion. My passion has been to help others. That's all I want to do in my life is just help others. There's a quote I heard. I'm not going to remember who said it, but feel free to Google it and let me know. Fact check it. Suffering is universal, but victimhood is a choice. Victimhood is a choice of the chooser. We are all suffering here. Everyone, even the people that you look at and you're like, wow, they must have a really great life. They've got something that's bothering them. Okay. If you go up and ask them, hey, how are you feeling today? What's bothering you? They will tell you something like, oh, this breeze is just too brisk. Like whatever. Like, even if it's the smallest thing, something is bothering everybody. Okay. So, first off, in the world of positive psychology, which is not a course I've come across in my studies of psychology, but yet there are so many books on it. The idea is changing what you look at, changing the words that you use. Okay. I made just a quick little note here, but I'm just totally raw and unprepared for this. But I'm so you guys need to hear this. Okay. GD it. This is going to be, a hot take. You are not depressed. You are not the depression. You are not the thoughts and feelings that you are having. You are experiencing, I'm going to look into the camera here. You are having a depressive experience. You are not this. Think about your whole life. Have you always been depressed? It's very possible that when you're in this cave that you built for yourself, for you to answer, well, yeah, because it all started, when. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm actually asking is, have you smiled and laughed? Have you enjoyed your life? Were there blessings? Have you had good times? Look at those. Feel free to journal and write down the good times and the times where you feel contribute to the depression. This is one activity that I tried and I felt really dumb because I was like, oh, well, maybe it's not that. But when you're in it, when you're in the middle of the storm, it feels like that's all that's ever happening and that the storm's never going to end. I believe it. I understand it. I've been there. I really hope I'll never be there again, but I am pretty sure I'll be there again. I've been there, okay? So the first point is you are not the illness that you have. This was something that I learned in the psychology courses. The individuals who have the mental illnesses are not the mental illness. The people who have the physical illnesses and ailments and diseases and cancers, they are not that. They are the person who is experiencing that. Okay, so first off, allow yourself to understand that you are a person with an experience. Okay, start with that. If you find that this is more than you can handle, please, 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 I encourage you to look and ask for help. Okay, that is paramount. But the individuals that are around me, I think they need to hear this. These are some thoughts that you can take into the assistance that you seek, whether it is counseling, whether it is medication, whether it's a retreat, maybe it's just a girls' weekend, whatever it is you need, okay? You identify what you need and you seek it out. The next point I made is that in my experience, as of late in my life, I've had to admit that I'm a nerd. Anything I don't understand, I am so thankful that the internet exists, because I will type it in the Google search line. Okay, and people are like, "Ew, you can't believe everything you read on the internet." No, but my experience in science and any English class, book reports, if you will. I know everybody had a book report they had to do in elementary school. Do not deny it. For that book report, you had to cite your sources. You had to write a bibliography. You had to create a bibliography of at least 3 to 5 books. I know that that is also universal. Okay, maybe just in the United States, maybe not every country, but I know everybody that can understand English has had to. Okay, this is cross-referencing. When you look up something, you ask a question and you want the answer. First, look at what's providing the answer. If that location is not reliable, I encourage you to look further. If every hit that comes up on the Google page has a very similar response to the question that you're asking, then if it's 9 times out of 10, that's probably the consensus. I'm not going to say it's the truth, but I'm going to say that's what the majority is. Okay. Do I have depression? How to beat depression? I've done these. All right. And when you watch all of the videos that say how to beat depression, if they all mention at least 3 things that are similar, then you can bet all of the goodness in your life that those things will help. Okay. You gotta try it though. You gotta try it. So getting back to the point, you can absorb all of the information from any and all sources about depression, but it won't change until you do. Okay. You can read all of those articles. You can search beyond page 1. You can read, you can watch, you can listen. You can enter into a psychology program and learn all of the things from all angles. But until you make a change, make an effort to help yourself from within, you will still continue to experience this depressing phase of your life. This isn't suit everybody. There are some people who need more help, but it has to start with you. Okay, you. This was something I put off and I denied, and I was looking for shortcuts, and I'm like, no. If I do this thing, it'll help me. If I do this thing, that thing will help me. If I see that person, they'll change it. If I buy this thing, that thing will solve all of my problems. That's why those memes are hilarious. Okay, like, oh, I'm really relying on this one meal to solve all of my problems. Not gonna happen. Okay, it's you. It's you. This was a hard lesson for me to learn, but I think I've nailed it now for my own sake, that I have to change the words that I'm thinking. So early on in my experience of the dark times, as I like to call them, I would say, man, I'm sad, or I'm having a bad day. I'm doing these things. That's okay to say that, to acknowledge it. However, you do have to continue moving, right? You can't sit there with it and think, 2 minutes into your day, you're like, oh, I'm having a bad day. And then just let that define the rest of the day for you and shut out any opportunity for happiness, okay? You have to allow yourself to unlock the door for positive opportunities to happen for the rest of the day, as an example. Again, this is unprepared. This is me just ranting, but I need people to hear this, and maybe I need to watch this someday in my future. I really hope. I'd really like to say, like, I win and I'm not going to be depressed ever again for the rest of my life, but I am a little over a third of the way, to the end, to 100 years old, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen again, because I'm human, unfortunately. Anyway, so you can absorb all of the information you ever want about mental illness, about how to help yourself, about who, what, where, when, things, any of that. You can read all of it. You can absorb all of it. But none of that will help until you help yourself, okay? If you seek out a therapist, you have to be the one to talk to the therapist. I had that experience too. I saw a therapist. I didn't want to tell her anything. I didn't want her to think the thing, and I was underage, and I didn't want my parents to think the things or hear about the things, and I didn't know what she was going to share with my parents, so I never told her anything. Therefore, therapy didn't help. So my review for that was 0 stars, no help. I don't recommend it for anybody. Well, guess what? I didn't share anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything about myself. Therefore, I never got anything out of it. So, you are not your illness. You're only experiencing it. You can absorb all of the information you want, but you are ultimately the person who has to take action. You have to take the first step. In my experience, my dark times have come within. It could be a certain event. It could be what a person said to me, what people have said to me, about me, around me, near me. I'm a people pleaser, so that's a pretty weak area. But I have discovered that my darkness comes from within myself. And what I've discovered, the times that I've been most successful, most efficient, the quickest to win those battles, was when I was able to recognize the signs of my thoughts overtaking, creating the darkness, and stopping them right where they are. Maybe it's that I didn't like the place I was in, and I didn't like the people around me, and so I just consumed myself with this darkness of oh, this is the rest of my life. I had to work from within and beat my own thoughts. I'm not saying I've won the war and it'll never happen again, like I've said many times in this video, but it comes from within. It starts with you. When you start to have those thoughts, you must be able to recognize what those thoughts are and how they hurt you and what you can do. When those thoughts happen, change it. It's practice. It's been years of practice. For me, for people I've talked to, we all have to go through this. Unfortunately, I think this is a battle that we all have to experience and learn from ourselves. Again, going back to my last point, you can absorb all the information, but the action has to start with you. Okay, next up. If one of the sandbags keeping you down is that no one is reaching out to you, ask yourself, when was the last time you reached out to someone else? They could be feeling the same as you. This is the common denominator amongst the people that I've been talking to that I am concerned about as of late. They were, every single one of them, words were a little different, but they were so sad that no one was checking up on them. One of them said they just stopped reaching out to anybody. They stopped communicating with people and were just curious if anybody would reach out, on their own initiative. This is testing. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. But that cannot be the reason of your suffering. You have walked into your home, pulled down all the blinds, turned off all the lights, and waited for someone to come to your door. I'll admit, I've done this. This was actually one of the start of one of my most challenging dark times. And in that, I kept having these thoughts of like, you just have to reach out to people. And I'm like, but I haven't talked to them for so long and they haven't reached out to me and they don't like me. Unfortunately, bittersweet, when I did and communicated with these people that I reached out to, I'm like, okay, who are the 3 most important people to me? They haven't reached out to me. They don't love me. It's not the truth. I mean, think of how many people you love that you don't tell every day who you love. Yes, while we experience depression, we can still love others. If there are 3 people that you love, you reach out to them. Just send a text, I love you. Send a meme. Leave a flower on their front doorstep. Do the smallest thing, okay? And just see how that affects you and your thought process. Do not expect return. This leads to another point. Some of my dark times have been when I expected people to reach a bar, okay? I expected people to act a certain way. I expected, okay, wow, this is a relationship that I have with this person, and now I expect X, Y, and Z of this person. They let me down. They did not meet any of my expectations. Now here's the kicker. They didn't meet my expectations because I did not verbalize them. Ever. At all. I didn't say, okay, now what does this mean now that we're roommates? What shall I expect from you? And what do you expect from me? This, expectations. It's very easy to build up expectations about what an event or what a person will provide for your life, for your experience, for the day, for the hour, for the coffee date, whatever. It's very easy to come up with expectations. And then on the other side of it, it's very easy to be disappointed because you set expectations. Expectations are the risk we take to be disappointed. Here's how we can avoid the letdown. Verbalize it. Tell the person. If it's the party planner, tell them that you are expecting gold leaf napkins. I don't know, this is random. Tell them. And then you cannot be upset that there are no napkins, gold leaf napkins, if you never asked anybody. That is Bridezilla 101, okay? Watch for my other videos on how to be a bridezilla. That's okay. Expectations. It's you. it's you. It's me. It was me. It has been me many times. I don't want it to be me again, but it will be. I'll believe it. My next point, the last one I have written down. Put something on the calendar. Anything. Get a calendar. If you don't have one, get one. Make one, draw one up, whatever. Put something on it. Anything. Even if it's one of the national holidays, like National Ice Cream Day or whatever, then make an event. Whether you invite people to it or not, that's up to you. Have National Ice Cream Day to look forward to. Have that date. You count down the days. You learn about that date and what you can make happen on that date. Then have those expectations, but also allow yourself to not be let down in case those expectations aren't met. Have that date. But here's one thing that not a lot of like videos or other things like say. When you schedule something, make sure it's not just one thing. You know, something I observed from the athletes that I followed, common after an event, whatever it was, something that they trained for weeks and months, the day after, the minute after it is over, there is a darkness that settles in. You have spent days, weeks, months training your body for an event. You know, these are my athletes I'm working with, right? In the elevated physical experience that they made themselves do for days and weeks and months, created this regular daily increase production of dopamine and serotonin. This body is expecting it. When you stop doing that, your brain can have a bad reaction. Your thoughts can have a bad biological reaction. Maybe someday I'll create a video on this that has all of the studies that prove it, but I think all of my athletes can just relate to it, all right? It's anecdotal evidence at this point. So one particular experience, I was able to support a cyclist for a 3-day event. He nonstop rode for 3 days. I mean, he stopped for actually, I don't think he stopped for a nap. Either way, 3 days, through the night, all day, every day. He trained for months to do this race. He was phenomenal, okay? He was, from a young age, they expected, it was just no doubt that this man was as much of an accomplished and talented athlete as he was. Upon, finishing the event, the final meeting of the team, everybody who supported him in this effort, the athlete himself was not present. I understood this as, well, shoot, I'd want to be sleeping for 3 days too if I hadn't slept for 3 days and put in max effort for 3 days straight. I just believed him to be asleep in bed and, body exhausted, not wanting to move. Well, later I met up with him and he shared with me that it was not so much the body and recovery and the delayed onset muscle soreness that we all experience from a workout. It was mental fatigue. It was a depression. He had shared his thoughts and his feelings and how he felt. And this was eye-opening for me. But it made sense with everything that I'd read about, dopamine, serotonin, physical activity, and then an ending, and then also like the event buildup, and then there's an event, and then you have the event, and then the event's over, and my own personal experience of working towards something, and then I got it, and then I'm like, cool, I'm here, and I got it, and now what? I know people have experienced that too. Anyway, long story short, this athlete and I felt compelled I don't know if it was this conversation or another athlete, but we talked about it, and maybe someone had suggested that maybe there needs to be another event booked, before that previous event is over. So when you have your calendar and you put the thing on the calendar, put more than one thing on the calendar, so that when the first thing ends, you've got something to look forward to. So once you cross that finish line, you're like, yeah, next race. Or, yeah, ice cream day, cool, when's taco day? Just make sure something's on the calendar. This has helped me immensely. When I have something to look forward to, then I am not allowing myself to sit in my darkness and accept this darkness as what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm alive. The biology of our body, everything that we are made of is trying to keep us alive. Unfortunately, our thoughts aren't always in line with that, but we have the power to change them. We have the power to change our thoughts, to change ourselves. It's not that I don't accept you as you are. That is not the case. It's not me asking you to change. It's not the world asking you to change. Because here's one really major point that I think more than just the handful of people that I know I've talked to lately. I think everybody that I've ever interacted, some of the hate that I've come across, there have been yelling matches that I have been witness to in the same room. And I think one thing we need to consider is the things we don't like about ourselves, we have to either change or accept. And if the things we don't change are hurting us, then I think it's a good idea to try to change them. We can't accept things that hurt ourselves. We can't accept things that hurt others. I mean, think about earlier I mentioned the 3 people that you love. The things you say to yourself, would you allow anyone to say that to the 3 people that you love? Someday, write down those thoughts you have about yourself that are the core of your dark times. And then create the scenario in your head. Think of those 3 people that you love. Imagine being with those 3 people. And then a group of people walk up, maybe one person walks up to the table that you're sitting at, because I'm imagining like we're all having like mimosas or margaritas or something, and someone walks up and they say the things that you are saying to yourself. But they don't say it to you, they say it to your 3 most loved people. What would you do? And then ask yourself, if you love yourself as much as you love your 3 most loved. If you don't have people that you love, then, trust me, there are people out there that want to be loved. So there's a good amount of people out there for you. However, the final point is acceptance. Accept yourself where you are right now. Acknowledge it. Identify every and all parts of it. Identify how this darkness looks. Identify how it smells, how it sounds, how it feels, and how it feels. How it tastes. Put all 5 senses on it. Identify it. Accept it. Know your enemy and move forward. Once you know what you're dealing with, then you know how to move forward. Once we accept ourselves, I think we can start to accept others. When we think people have problems or people are doing things and we think they should do something different, sometimes it doesn't come off as you want it to. Anyway, I have a sneeze. So on that note, it's been 30 minutes, and I think that my hot take's sizzling now, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I just need to say that because there are people that I know and love, and some of them I've told this to. Some of them have heard it. Some of them have absorbed it and think about it. Others have not wanted to hear it. So maybe someday they need to hear it. And if I'm not able to tell them about this, then I just need to make a copy so that they can hear it. So with 31 minutes achieved, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'll probably make some points from this video and put it in the description. Anyway, yes, and